Hello everybody, my name is Jose Pastor, and the mathematician that I chose for this presentation is Rene Descartes. And the math that Rene Descartes did was the Cartesian coordinate system. So, during my presentation today, I will go over his early life and his later life, as well as the time period that he lived in and what he did as a mathematician. So, let's not waste any more time and let's get started. So, his early life. In his early life. So, Rene Descartes was born March 31st, 1596 in La Haye in Touraine, France, a small town in central France. He was the youngest of three children, and by the time that he was one, his mother had unfortunately passed away. So, a little bit later, his father had sent him to live with his grandmother. He had grew up there, and his father later had wanted a good education for his children, so he sent Rene to boarding school several miles north at the Jesuit College of Henry IV in La Fleche. And you can see that college up at the top right corner. That's like a picture graph of what it looked like. He studied there for about 7 years, and over the years he studied things such as rhetoric and logic, which would help him with his career as a philosopher as well. Um, he also studied mathematical arts, which included music, astronomy, as well as metaphysics, natural philosophy, and ethics. Uh, After he graduated from there, he spent the next 4 years earning a bachelorette in law at the University of Poitiers in France. Uh, he also studied. He also joined the army, and there he met uh, Dutch scientist and philosopher Isaac Beeckman after he had graduated from the university. Isaac Beeckman would become a great inspiration to Descartes later on when he would be trying to develop the Cartesian coordinate system, applying natural philosophy and mathematics together. So after spending 9 years touring Europe through the army, he decided to settle in the Netherlands and leave the army. Once he left, he decided to focus on math and philosophy, where he developed the Cartesian coordinate system for mathematics and is known to be one of the fathers of philosophy with his dualism that he practiced. What was dualism? Dualism dealt with the mind and body, saying that they were two separate things. And he also coined the famous philosophical term, to think, therefore I am. The Renaissance. This is the time period he grew up in. The Renaissance was about from 14th to about the 17th century. Many great minds were alive during the Renaissance. Many great minds like Leonardo da Vinci, William Shakespeare, and Galileo with his telescope. And many other great artworks as well were created, as well as structures. A lot of progression during this time in the arts and sciences. So he lived through the High Renaissance in the 17th century. Most art, architecture, and science were closely related at this time. Filippo Brunelleschi created the one-point perspective, and one-point perspective really changed the way art was created during that time, and it created an illusion. And you can see it right here in under the girl with the pearl earring. Um, he had created a one-point system where one point in the middle of the painting would be the viewpoint for everything. So it created like a 3D grid on a 2D surface basically, and that really helped with different things like engineering and stuff. But yeah, that's what was going on around that time. Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael, Galileo, Shakespeare, they came up with new innovations and ideas that changed the world. So, the Cartesian coordinate system. According to the book 1, section 2.1, The Cartesian coordinate system is a two-dimensional plane consisting of the x-axis and y-axis, perpendicular to each other. The axes divide the planes into 4 sections. Each section is called a quadrant. The book also explains that a coordinate to be a point on the plane is defined as an ordered pair xy, such that x is determined by its horizontal distance from the origin and y is determined by its vertical distance from the origin. So, Rene Descartes is known to be the godfather of analytical geometry. It is said that he came up with the coordinate system by looking up one night at his ceiling, and he had seen a fly and he was trying to describe the fly's location on the ceiling. So he decided that he would use a corner of the ceiling that could be used as a reference point. And he was studying this fly all night while he was looking at it, and the fly would be moving and going back to different spots, and he would see where the fly would land and to see if it would go back to its original spot. So this is what I was talking about earlier, or what the book was explaining about the 4 quadrants, and basic coordinate system. Pretty easy to look at and to figure out. And this is just the 2D. The 3D adds the z to it, which adds length, width, and height. So next we'll go on to the impact that he had. Descartes had a great impact with his work across the globe. His work had spread throughout Europe and had also influenced other scientists and mathematicians like Isaac Newton. His coordinate system is now used all over the world for astronomy, robotics, physics, engineering, and the system is also commonly found in computer graphics. So, upon his death, he lived the last years of his life in the Netherlands, but he later died in Stockholm, Sweden on Friday 11, 1650. This was his home back in the Netherlands. Upon his death, he was known as one of the greatest philosophers to ever live, as well as a great mathematician whose discoveries are still being put into use to this day. And a little fact about him, or not really, a fact, his hometown that he was born in was renamed after him to Descartes to honor him. And that's my presentation for today. So I hope you like it. Hope you learned a little bit about Rene and what his life was like and what he did. And have a great day.